Well, for more on this, Erich Reimer and Suzan Johnson-Cook are joining us both this morning. Erich is a conservative commentator, townhall.com columnist. Suzan is the ambassador at large for international religious freedom. Guys, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm good. A lot to talk about. Certainly, Erich, you know, the possibility of a government shutdown got more real after what we saw on Capitol Hill yesterday. In particular, you have the Freedom Caucus now digging in their heels and saying they want more money for the military. That's their platform. Everybody's got an angle on why they don't want to see a deal done. Are we looking at a shutdown?
I think it's very possible right now. I think the discourse is so polarized. I mean, we have Democrats who are really digging in their heels and want a complete, clean DACA bill with this. We have Republicans who want to see funding for a border wall, who want to see increased military spending. And I think just given how both sides are really not budging on this, I think a shutdown is it's potentially there. I think in the end, there's always going to be some kind of, like, I don't want to use the word compromise, because I think that a stopgap measure is much more likely right now, even though it's looking controversial as well. But
it is.
But
yeah.
But if you look at and you respond to President Trump saying, I'll sign whatever you send me, this morning Senator Schumer presented a bipartisan bill. And I think we have to look at that. It's not playing politics. It's about dealing with people's lives. When I was ambassador at large for international religious freedom, it was probably the most conservative position in government, but it wasn't about Democrats or Republicans. It was about human lives. And when we're talking about DACA, we're talking about human lives that are here.
That initially Republicans and Democrats seem to have agreement on, but I think this is becoming politics as usual, and the swamp is back. And Suzan, I want you to listen to what Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont said yesterday. I think this kind of shows to the tone of what's happening. Listen to this.
Republicans control the House, they control the Senate, and they control the presidency. The government stays open if they want to stay open. It shuts down if they want it to shut down.
Suzan, nothing about, oh, let's save lives or our military. It's politics from Leahy. So he's playing that card too, Suzan.
He's playing that card. He's playing that card. But I think that, you know, if you listen to Senator Schumer this morning, there are discussions after that, what he said yesterday. So I think if the president is serious about saying, I'll sign whatever you send me, then you have to take it to a step beyond. We're talking about deferred action for people who are here. We're not talking about borders. We're not talking about military. We're talking about people who are living here that should also have a path to citizenship. So I think when we look at the total picture, it has to go beyond politics. And I think some people are trying to do that to avoid a government shutdown, but also to advance DACA.
Okay, Erich, what about those inappropriate comments from the president in that meeting that allegedly he said? Now, you had Cory Booker yesterday grilling DHS secretary on it. You know, that was the whole headline from a committee that was supposed to be about Homeland Security. Are we still sidetracked by the sideshow of the meeting from last week, or do you think that lawmakers are finally willing to start to actually look at the issues today?
I mean, I think there's been no, clear, definitive evidence that President Trump made those statements. I think there's been a lot of conflicting accounts about it. I do think that the discussion about the comments certainly has distracted our discourse a lot, and given the way the focus has been on the budget deal and the stopgap measure, I think it certainly has temporarily pushed away the possibility of a compromise. I think right now a stopgap measure is the most likely result. I think the one the House GOP proposed last night that gives funding for CHIP and a lot of other measures, even though there might be some lack of Freedom Caucus support, I think if Democrats are really serious about negotiating in good faith, I think they have no choice but to vote for it, because it gives a lot of measures that they have been pushing for. And so I think that it's definitely a very tense and polarized situation right now. And so I think we'll have to pass a stopgap measure and see in a few weeks if a deal can actually be reached for this.
Suzan, I want to ask you about one other thing, but and that's about this issue of Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon testified on the Hill yesterday, but now he's been subpoenaed by Robert Mueller. What do you make of the fact that Bannon is now becoming a key witness in the Mueller investigation, the Russia probe, if you will, which we thought was winding down?
Okay, I also wanted to comment on the S-hole comments also. I don't think distraction is the right word. I think that it's actually been a roadblock. And as an African American, we're still incensed. I don't think you can really say the country can go forward without dealing with that. And so as an African American, we're offended, certainly, and we can't go forward. And so it's not a distraction, it's not the right word. I think that it was just horrible for the leader of our country. You know, as far as Bannon is concerned, the Senate and the House have to deal with that, and the investigation has to go forward. Yeah. And hopefully he'll speak and do what he's supposed to do in front of them.
Suzan, you pivoted back. I'm glad you did. That was a good final comment. Thank you very much. Suzan and Erich, thanks for getting up early. We always appreciate it, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks.